Egypt to replace US F-16s with the Chinese J-10. So this actually got sent in, Mover, from a
from
a viewer. Yes, a request. And by the way, we like those. So if you guys want us to talk about stuff, email me or Mover, and we'll do our best.
Send all hate mail to Gonky, though.
You can send me the hate mail because I don't read it, and it would save me many, many hours of talking Mover off the cliffs.
Wow, dude. Wow.
Egypt reportedly placed an order for China's J-10C, the Vigorous Dragon.
Hell yeah.
Fighter jets.
What a name.
Yeah, what a name, dude. Combat aircraft were flown at the Egypt Air Show, held September 3rd through the 5th. Basically, the reason is the U.S. made F-16 that the Egyptians have are the older ones. So they have outdated avionics, AIM-7, probably older heaters as well, and older radars. Whereas the J-10 has the most modern equipment that the Chinese can provide. So they're just looking to modernize their fleet. But basically, the viewer that sent this in just asked, hey, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, the F-16 being a very capable Western fighter, against a brand new modernized J-10. I have not flown the Viper, but Mover,
sir,
what's your take on this, man? Being a former F-16 Viper pilot, what's your initial reaction on Egypt looking to replace the
PL-15? Holy crap!
Yeah, that's bad.
that's something. And I noticed it said Egypt recently joined BRICS, which I don't know if you've seen the news, where Trump's basically like, if you try to devalue our currency by joining the BRICS, we're gonna cut you off.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how that's gonna play out. But and if this even happens now, because how old's this article versus that announcement? But it's interesting to read that. Especially the AIM-7 stuff, because when I went to the Hornet, I was surprised that capability existed anywhere in the software, because in the Viper it didn't. It was not
really
dude, it was gone. I mean, that was foreign jets could do it, but the current ones could not, because it just was so far gone that we didn't. There was nothing.
Where would they carry it? On the wingtips or under the wings?
An AIM-7?
Yeah, AIM-7 is pretty big.
The only thing you can carry the wingtips, the 120 or the 9.
Okay.
But we never carried 9s on the wingtips. It was always 120s.
So you never had the AIM-7?
Never had the AIM-7. Didn't
even
have the
in
ability.
The B course?
You can't even. It won't do it. It.
Wow.
I don't want to get into radar stuff, but it won't do it.
Wow.
Foreign ones would. Like if you flew against like the Taiwanese Vipers or whatever, those, and I'm sure the Egyptians ones were the same one, because those are all the Block 15s and Block 20s, the MLU. Most foreign Vipers that aren't brand new, other than the Hellenic Air Force, were all early Block 15, 20, and then upgraded from there. The ones we flew, Block 30, 40s, and 50s, were the ones that were not foreign export, so a little different. But we couldn't carry that. So, I don't know what software the Egyptian Vipers were, but I think some of those Vipers are being used by Red Air companies. I think Egyptian Vipers were one of the ones the State Department was talking about, like Draken or other Red Air companies and stuff. So I don't know. But as far as to answer your question about the J-10, you're not talking apples to apples, right? It's like the equivalent for you of like an A model versus a Super Hornet, A model Hornet versus a Super Hornet. Yeah, you're very, very outdated, and you need to upgrade, because even though it's an F-16, it's really not. It's not anything like what we have today.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them if they can't get something 4.5 Gen Plus.
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point. I mean, just sitting on the ramp, an F-16, two F-16s could look identical, two totally different capabilities.
Right. Yeah. It's just, I mean, I really liken it to like the A+ versus, a C or whatever. You may be like, oh, they look identical, but dude, there's so much behind this. Do you have the fishbowl? Do you have a real actual display? Do you have a analog fuel gauge, or do you have a digital fuel gauge? For the Viper, it's even more, because now you're talking, what data buses do we have? What can we carry? Can we carry JDAMs? Can we carry more advanced weapons than just what it came with back in the 80s?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. It really kind of depends on. It's not that an old F-16 is useless, right? I mean, I'd be willing to bet the old F-16 is probably a better BFM machine than the new ones, right? Because of weight.
Yeah, but BFM's a bowling sport, man. Who cares?
Right. But all I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, it's not that it's a totally useless airplane, but I mean, you hit the nail on the head with, if you're looking to modernize your fleet and the US isn't going to sell you an upgrade, or newer equipment, then you got to go shopping somewhere else. So, I mean, to me, it just kind of makes sense that Egypt would be looking elsewhere, China, Russia.
It's like anything else, power vacuum. If we're not the ones selling it to them, somebody else will step in. And, I don't know if we've got the Turkey article about Fat Amy, but it's the same thing happening there, where initially we said no. So what did they do? They start doing their indigenous con. And then, because they had the S-400 and we said, we're not going to sell you that when you have the S-400. And then they turn around and they get rid of it, or they stop buying them. And now we're like, hey, maybe we will sell them to you. And they're like, okay, well, we're interested again. If they're going to find it somewhere, there's some jet is going to be in their arsenal, whether it's Russian, American, or European or Chinese, I mean, and we'll talk about the Rafale there too. Every defense contractor in the world is trying to be just like you dealt with this, Malaysia, right? I mean, you saw firsthand about them companies trying to court countries to have them buy their aircrafts. I mean, tell me about that. How does that work?
It's big money. And the U.S. is at a bit of a disadvantage because the U.S. holds itself, I guess, like more accountable to more stringent rules when it comes to doing business with other countries, whereas other countries, from what I've seen, can wine and dine a little bit more. That kind of stuff. And not that always matters, but when there's other equipment out there that's really good, comparable, to maybe what we could sell them. I mean, it's the little things that count, right? So,
yeah, the J-10 is from all reports, a very capable aircraft. These missiles that they're talking are very capable missiles. They're very well produced in terms of numbers, and in terms of capabilities. They're rival anything else in the world. So, when they're like, hey, what can I go buy to replace this aging fighter? And, we can't get them a Block 70 with brand new AMRAAMs because of their, human rights violations or whatever the reason is, then they're going to go, China's not going to have that reservation.
Yeah.
China and from a strategic standpoint, China has been very adamant in their policy about having a foothold in the Middle East and, Horn of Africa and all the places in that region that they're trying to establish themselves for oil production and other resources that they believe that they could get. So when we leave, they show up.
Yeah. I mean, you can't blame them. I mean, I would do the same thing if I was a country, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'd at least be shopping. I mean, it didn't say they're for sure buying them, but they're looking at them, right? So,
yeah.